What is going on, everybody? It is so good to be back. I know content's been down lately. I have been managing a move to downtown Minneapolis, but we are settled now, hoping to really pick up content now, the home stretch towards the draft at the end of April. Couple bits of housekeeping. Please do hit that like button down below. If and when this video gets 1,000 likes, I will begin work on my next top 10 positional breakdown video, which will be the edge rushers in this class. Also, if you enjoy my draft content and you want the full TFG Draft Insider package, head over to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/ThatFranchiseGuy. You're going to get access to my full draft board with profiles that's going to be over 600 players this year. Exclusive film breakdowns. I just did 2 breakdowns on Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen, who we'll talk about in this video. Also, exclusive team-specific 7-round mock drafts will be coming in April. So a great time. You might want to wait till the 1st of April so you don't get charged twice. But nonetheless, now is the time to sign up on Patreon. Also, make sure you subscribe and come back on draft night. Looks like we're not going to have a big live production of the draft. There will be some stuff on ESPN, NFL Network, but no big, huge show. So you might as well come join my live stream here on YouTube. Come back here the night of the first round, and then days 2 and 3 will actually be on my Twitch. Links down below. So come hang out with me, get my reactions and my analysis of every pick. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a ton of fun. So let's hop into the top 10 linebackers now. And honestly, this class was much better than I originally anticipated it being before I dove into all this film. Some really high praise as far as my player comps on this list. And I think there's going to be a really nice influx of really athletic, fast cover linebackers, especially at this in this draft to project at the next level. Now let's start with my number 1 guy here, Isaiah Simmons, and he is one of 2 blue chip players in this class. Now a lot of people will throw that term out. Some people say any player with a first round grade is a blue chip prospect. To me, I have much higher standards for a blue chip prospect. I tweeted this out about a week ago. Let me read my definition of a blue chip prospect. A scheme independent player with a high floor and a Hall of Fame ceiling. Checks all boxes of athleticism, production, development path, injury, and character. Will more likely than not be a franchise cornerstone player. So very, very high praise for Isaiah Simmons. Now he's a very unique player and a very unique conversation to have, because there's a lot of people that want to just plug him in there at middle linebacker, make him the number 1 undisputed linebacker in this class and just classify him as that and leave it there. That to me is, let's just say, not what I'm doing. Yes, at 6'4", 235, put on some weight, still ran that 4.39. He can absolutely play a Mike linebacker between the tackles and do it at a pretty high level. And I think that's why he has such a high floor, because he really is scheme independent and can play at a high level anywhere you put him. But here's the deal. This is my favorite compliment of Isaiah Simmons. He is going to be, if used correctly, one of 3 players in the NFL who are a counter to what all of these offenses call their elite mismatch problems. Michael Thomas for the Saints, Travis Kelce for the Chiefs, George Kittle for the Niners, Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers. These guys that have rare traits and rare flexibility with different types of sizes. To me, I look at Derwin James, Jamal Adams. That's it. Put them on those mismatch problems or in the proximity, and they can take those players away. It is a huge asset to have a player like that with these modern offenses that know how to exploit weaknesses in a lot of these defenses in that middle of the field area. And that is where Isaiah Simmons can come in and really take that stuff away. And that, if you're spending a top 5 pick on Simmons, is how you really need to use him. Because yes, he can play middle linebacker. But the truth is, just a traditional Mike linebacker, even a guy like Bobby Wagner, is a devalued position. Just follow the money. The NFL just doesn't value these guys. It's a little easier to avoid those players on like critical third downs. If you want to get the ball to Michael Thomas, it's a little easier to do it when the guy that's supposed to cover him is off in the middle of the field. Isaiah Simmons, Derwin James, Jamal Adams, you can put these guys right on top of where the offense wants to go the most, take those things away. And to me, there's some schemes and some defensive coordinators that won't know how to use Isaiah Simmons that way. They will put him at that traditional Mike linebacker where he can be a really good player, but he's also going to get exposed a little more between the tackles, having to deal with more, chunky offensive linemen getting their hands on him, a little more short space work. That's not where Isaiah Simmons is going to thrive. You want him, the way I describe it, on the outer shell of the box as a strong safety, weak side linebacker, slot corner, a lot of what he did at Clemson. So I do classify him as a linebacker, but it's tough. He's basically a strong safety, nickel corner, weak side linebacker hybrid. If I drafted him in the top 3, and I'd be very comfortable doing that, I would want my defensive coordinator to keep him outside of the tackles as much as possible. All right, let's move on. I know that was a lot, but it's a really interesting conversation this year with Isaiah Simmons. Gets a little more basic moving forward. Kenneth Murray, more of your traditional full-size Mike linebacker, but he can play weak side as well. That's actually what he did at Oklahoma and why I have Demario Davis as his pro comp. That's more of a physical comp type of thing. Now, I like Kenneth Murray. He's a really good risk taker, a smart player, nasty in the trenches, can make some really elite plays, not just in run defense, but on screens, bubbles, all that stuff. Runs sideline to sideline at an elite level. We're talking about a guy that does have a Bobby Wagner-esque ceiling. Does he get there? I don't know. That's on him. I think as a first-round player, he has growth to do, as pretty much every single off-ball linebacker coming out of college is going to have to do, but I really like what I saw from Kenneth Murray, especially as a true junior playing in the Big 12, that those linebackers are going to be put in a lot of compromising situations, and he handled it pretty well. So he's got to keep learning, got to keep growing, but he's got the leadership, the character. I'm just a big fan of Kenneth Murray. And I think that upside's a little bit higher than Patrick Queen here because of the full size thing. I think he has more potential to be that full-on run defender and coverage package between the whole deal. But that's not a slight to Patrick Queen. I've got him right behind Kenneth Murray. The thing with Patrick Queen, a little less experience, about 12 full starts in his whole college career. Now, he was dominant in those 12 starts. Showed a lot of question marks as far as tackling, not running his feet, not packing that punch at the attack point of the tackle. He is smaller. He's gonna dance around potential blockers. He's not gonna run through them like Kenneth Murray does. So as far as his run defense, he does leave a lot to be desired. Now he's gonna run sideline to sideline at an elite speed. He can bring down your Matt Breidas and Austin Eckler's and some of these elite outside zone threats. Even guys like Raheem Mostert, like he's gonna be a great asset to limit some of that stuff. But if you're trying to tackle Zeke between the tackles, what I think Jonathan Taylor can be if he gets in the right spot, that might be a little more of a problem for Patrick Queen that I don't necessarily see for Kenneth Murray. I do think he's more fluid in coverage. There was some times when you watch him in coverage and he looks like a damn cornerback out there with how fluid he moves. So Deion Jones is the comp there. They're just different players. It's a stylistic thing. I think both definitely belong in the first round. I think both will definitely be star players at the next level, assuming their development paths continue. And if you wanted to put them in any order, I wouldn't really argue it. Now, number 4 is a polarizing player, quite possibly the most polarizing player in this class, Willie Gay Jr. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. If he didn't have these off-the-field issues, he would be right there with Isaiah Simmons if it was just a conversation about a linebacker prospect. Simmons brings a lot of different stuff to the table. He played more safety in college. It's a tough thing to say, but I think very highly of what I saw from Willie Gay on tape. Flies to the ball, elite athleticism, shrugs off blocks with ease. Yes, he's a bit of a risk taker. I'd rather you be a little over-aggressive than too conservative, in my opinion. You can always pair him with some more conservative players, but the upside you're getting with him is just ridiculous. I do have him with the second most potential in this class behind Isaiah Simmons. Now, he's just got off-field issues. So I compare him to Jaylon Smith, not because Jaylon Smith had off-field issues, quite the opposite. Jaylon Smith had major injury concerns, fell into the second round, ended up working out pretty damn well for the Cowboys. But his play style is very similar to Jaylon Smith. His sideline to sideline speed, and when he gets there, and he will light you up. And he's got coverage instincts as well. He knows when to gamble. can lead to some turnover plays and stuff. So I love Willie Gay's film. If the off-field stuff is there, I think he could be a Tyreek Hill-esque steal at the linebacker position. It's just going to take a team willing to take a risk on a guy that faced a bunch of suspensions at a school that, quite frankly, has a lot of bad characters in it. I'm sorry if I offended any Mississippi State fans, but they do not have the best track record right now of high character players coming out. But on tape, this guy's tape speaks for itself, and he ran that 4.46 at the combine. Then we get to Logan Wilson. Really popped on film to me. He just, at his size, against his level of competition, it just looked different. Reminded me a little bit of Leighton Vander Esch. Not quite as tall, but very similar. Just, super strong. It takes on blockers so well. He's got the sideline-to-sideline speed. He baits quarterbacks in coverage too, and he has some of the best first step acceleration in this class. I think he's going to be a solid cover player. A little tight, a little stiff, not going to be like a man-up tight ends kind of guy, but drop him back in hook zones, even QB spies. Like, he's going to do some nice stuff in coverage, and I think he's going to be a borderline elite run defender on day one. So that's kind of why I have the Leighton Vander Esch comp. But a really good player. Definitely, I don't know where everyone comes in on this guy, but I feel like I'm a little higher on Logan Wilson, a day 2 second-round pick grade on him. Then we got Troy Dye, another, hefty comp here. Corey Littleton, another 6'3", 230-pound linebacker. More of a safety than a linebacker. Just, not a very physical player. Not going to take on blocks well. Not going to offer much as a run defender. Might even be confined to a, nickel linebacker sub-package coverage role. Although in the modern game, that really is just a starter, the way they're scheming up these defenses right now. Really fluid movement skills. He's a guy that can man up guys. Now, he's not an elite speed guy. George Kittles of the world or Evan Ingram, they're going to run right past this guy. But he's fluid. He can flip his hips and turn on crossing routes. He's got the short area burst to come down and kind of jump hooks and stuff. So I really like his coverage ability. He's got long 6'3" arms that he does use to kind of elude blockers and sort his way through run defense, so he's not a complete disaster there. He's just not going to really thump a whole lot. And then my next guy, Malik Harrison, this guy's going to thump out of Ohio State. My comparison's Raekwon McMillan. I feel pretty good about that, also coming out of Ohio State. He's got pretty good athleticism considering he's 6'3", 244, and they didn't ask a ton of him in coverage, and he's never going to be a guy that, kind of like we said about Logan Wilson out of Wyoming, never going to be a guy you want manning up the fastest and quickest receivers in the league. But he can do some nice things in zones. He's a smart player, understands route concepts, accelerates really well. So I don't think he's going to be a complete liability in coverage, a 3-4 middle linebacker type of guy, where they don't usually ask so much in coverage from their linebackers. I do like his game. Maybe not the highest upside kind of guy. I do prefer my number one linebacker to be a guy that can man up tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. I don't feel super confident in him doing that, but he is going to be an awesome run defender, heat seeker type, not afraid of contact, has that mentality that you want out of Ohio State. So I do like him, just maybe a slightly lower ceiling as far as being a true number one linebacker. And I feel the same about Raekwon McMillan as well. That's why I like the pairing of McMillan and Jerome Baker, who can be that cover guy down there in Miami. So try to find a similar situation here with Malik Harrison at the next level. Now my number 8 linebacker, Khaleke Hudson. Played safety at Michigan, but a lot in the box. Was more of just a weak side linebacker for Michigan. And that's what he's going to be at the next level. Again, a guy that is similar to Troy Dye. Not a great thumper, but he actually really brings a punch and he's willing to take on blocks, which I was really excited to see from him, from a guy that was a safety. He had that middle linebacker mentality, even though he's 5'11", 220. Now, keep in mind, that's not too short of what Devin Bush was at Michigan. Not the same type of player, but a somewhat similar skill set. Really covers well, whether you're asking him to man guys up, match coverage, flip your hips and run with guys crossing your face. He can definitely do that. Instinctive zone guy. Not the longest arm, so he is going to struggle to get off blocks. He might not break up as many passes as you'd like over the middle of the field, but that athleticism speaks for itself 4.5, 640, it shows on tape. He is a safety linebacker hybrid, and maybe he is a guy that needs to come off the field on first down against heavier packages. But if you aren't too afraid of the run, this guy's going to be a stud at the next level, and I really like his game. Now my number 9 linebacker, this is going to be Baun. And this class is actually very deep with these hybrid outside linebackers that will be that kind of Belichickian scheme fit. You've also got guys like Carter Coughlin and Josh Uche out of Michigan, ironically all Big Ten guys. I actually classify those guys as edge rushers. I see their skill sets projecting a little better as pass rushers. Baun seems a little more committed on making that full transition to off-ball linebacker. Really productive pass rusher. This is a guy I just don't get the first round hype on. I'm just going to be forward. Really good athlete, made some great plays, but if you are asking him to make that full transition, unless you're a team like the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Lions, we'll see what the Giants want to do with their scheme, then I get it. Like, he's the perfect fit for that hybrid linebacker that can just kind of be disciplined and do a little bit of everything. But if you're the other 28 teams in the league, this guy's just not a first-round player. He's much closer to Leon Jacobs, who was a 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin, who was a very similar player, played the same exact position. My comp for him is Hasaan Reddick, who did the same thing coming out of Temple, converted from edge to off ball. He's kind of gone back and forth, trying to do a little bit of everything, and just hasn't been the same player he was in college. And I think that's going to be Baun, unless he gets the perfect coaching, perfect scheme fit. You know, if I was filling out my draft board just for one of those 4 teams, then yeah, he'd probably be a late first, early second round grade. But I just don't think you need to take him there. So I do like the athleticism, but if you're converting him to off-ball linebacker, we just don't have tape of that. He played edge rusher in college, and he's undersized to do that at the next level. 6'2", 238. We've kind of seen this story before. Tyus Bowser, Leon Jacobs, Hasaan Reddick, Sutton Smith. A long list of guys that remind me a lot of Baun. They're good players, but just haven't really blown up. So I do like them. I love the athleticism, fluid movement skills, but you're really projecting a skill set, and that's just not something I'm comfortable doing with a guy that's probably a project. That's why I have a 3rd-round grade on him. Lastly, we got Jordyn Brooks here. My comp for him is Zach Brown. He is a very simple player. See ball, hit ball. There's not a whole lot between the ears, at least on tape. If you can unlock some football IQ and some coverage ability, some gap and roll responsibility with this player, you're going to be getting a steal because he is an absolute freak. 6 foot, 240. He will just fly to you and light you up. Now, he can be a really good number 2 linebacker if you have a heady coverage player next to him. So if used correctly, he can certainly be an asset. I just wouldn't expect this guy to be a great cover player, limit big plays. You know, he's a pretty basic guy. If it's 3rd and 1, though, and I need to get a stop and they're running up the A-gap, Jordyn Brooks is the guy I want at middle linebacker in this class because he will light you up. And there are parts of his game that I really like. All right, so that is it. That was a fun one. Please do hit that like button. Again, if we get to 1,000, I will do the edge rush video. Make sure you check out my Patreon. Come back on draft night. Cheers, guys. We'll see you later. Peace.